Hi there, my name is Neil Miller. I'm the head gardener here at Hever Castle. Myself and my team look after over 125 acres of formal and informal gardens, but probably the most important thing to me is the gardens here are over 120 years old. They were founded and created by William Waldorf Astor, and I think the thing that is really humble that we are custodians. We are carrying on William Astor's legacy. Gardening during the winter is probably one of the busiest times. A lot of people think it's the summer, but really you're doing the groundwork and the preparation for the spring and the year ahead, so extremely important. Another job for early winter is to kind of give your roses a prune if you have any. By October, November, the roses are getting taller and taller. It's because they're trying to reach the light, and obviously the light in the autumn and winter is not as strong, so they're bolting towards the light. Sometimes we have some quite severe weather during the winter, strong winds, heavy rain. If we don't prune them now, they're going to sway about a bit, get bashed in the weather, and that's going to cause damage to the roots. So what we do, we then, no matter what size rose you have, we take off a third. So we cut off this rose here, we're kind of cutting it off about there. That reduces the height and that reduces the risk of any damage from the inclement weather. So when you do your pruning, the key thing is in the winter, not to prune a straight cut. You want to prune just above a leaf axis. You can see where a shoot is coming, and you do a diagonal cut. That purely assists any rain that comes down, any water that lies on there, it will run off. You don't want it to rot, so if you do a cut straight across, any rain that will come down, that raindrop will stay on there and it could cause some damage and disease. So 45-degree angle, they'll be fine. Another job sort of for autumn, winter, and preparing the beds for the spring is good old-fashioned mulching. Here we use, it's all sustainable, here it's all shredded bark, it's some trees that have been cut down because they've been damaged or diseased. All the wood is shredded and it serves so many purposes around plants. Ideal is to get mulch down when the ground is damp. It serves three purposes. It will keep the moisture in the soil to help the plants. It keeps the weeds down, which is a great must in a garden, and also it looks pleasing to the eye. But you must kind of put the mulch down maybe 5 to 6 centimetres. If you put a small bit down, it will just wash away and serve no purpose whatsoever. So a good mulch, and your plants will really benefit in the new year. So obviously we're in the greenhouse here and we're kind of growing on all the plants, the pansies, the violas, the primulas. This will give colour all the way through from November to March and April. Funny enough, a lot of people think nothing flowers during the winter, but these do, and it'll give you a sort of a lovely ray of sunshine on the dullest of winter days. Again, another job for early winter, get your pots kind of planted up and your baskets for the spring bulbs. Small daffodils, tete-a-tete, tulips, and obviously lots of kind of the winter pansies and the violas. So the key thing is when you plant a bulb, no matter what bulb it is, the depth, a lot of people will ask how deep. Rule of thumb is you plant them 3 times the depth. So that one there is about 3 centimetres, so you would actually kind of do it about 10 centimetres down into the soil. You plant them into the soil, cover them up, and then on top you can plant some of your little winter bedding that you can get from any of the garden centres, tulips, primulas, and you then just put those. Don't necessarily worry about the pansy or the primula being on top of the bulb, because the bulb will find its way round. It won't lift the plant out of the pot. So all the bulbs we plant out this time of year, your daffodils, your tulips, your crocuses, obviously the primulas and the pansies that you'll see in all the garden centres, don't worry about the cold. These will get through the heaviest of winters. You could have a layer of snow on them top and they will survive. So don't worry about that. If the cold weather comes, leave them be. They will come through once the weather gets warmer. We never know what Mother Nature has in store during the winter. Sometimes it can be very mild, sometimes we can have snow. A lot of people think, oh my God, when it snows, we stay indoors. But there's one sort of really important thing. We've got a lot of formal hedges here, the topiaries that you see. Snow is actually heavier than water. So if the snow gets on the hedges, this one here you can see is very firmly cut. It can actually damage the hedge. The weight can actually kind of sink the hedge and damage it. So it's very important, just with a broom, any ornamental shrubs that you have at home, just to brush slightly with a broom and knock the snow onto the grass. Don't be put off on one of those days that we have a very wet winter and you can't really get out in the garden. Don't be put off. If you've got a small little shed or a greenhouse, there's no excuse. Winter is the best time to go in, take stock of the tools and give them a good clean. It may sound really boring and tedious, but by goodness me, in the spring, you'll know where everything is. They're all nice and clean and you know they're sharpened and ready for a full year's work ahead. One of the other little jobs that you may have to do during the winter, some do's and don'ts, if the snow and the ice comes down. Always keen just to keep the sort of pathways sort of clear, purely for your own health and safety. But one thing you mustn't do is sort of put salt down. A lot of people put grit and salt down on their paths. If you've just got all hard standing, that's fine. But if you've got plants either side of the pathway, unfortunately the salt will leach into the ground and it will kill your plants. So the best thing is, if you can live with it, just clear a little track, but don't put any grit down and just keep them well swept and clear so you can access parts of your gardens safely. The other thing is, if the weather is extremely wet, best thing is not to kind of walk on the lawn and try and keep off your flower beds. Not that you would be doing much in the rain, but it causes a lot of compaction and sort of damage to the soil structure. And also if you walk across your lawn when it's wet, you're going to make divots.